Imagine discovering that there existed a deity so powerful, so transformative, so revolutionary, that entire empires united to completely erase its existence from human history. A divine force capable of liberating entire peoples from oppression, granting supernatural powers to its followers, transforming entire societies overnight, and for that very reason becoming the #1 enemy of all control systems that have ever existed. Today you will discover the most censored story in humanity. We will talk about an African god who was so powerful that conquerors, colonizers, emperors, and even religious leaders joined in a millennia-old conspiracy to ensure that you never knew of his existence. And when you understand the reason for this extreme censorship, you will understand exactly what forces still work today to keep you away from your true spiritual power. This isn't just another video about ancient mythology or historical trivia. It's about a spiritual reality that is resurfacing right now, at this very moment, and that can transform your life in ways you can't even imagine. Because this God they tried to erase didn't die, didn't disappear, wasn't defeated. He was simply waiting for the right moment to return, and that moment is now. Why would a deity be so threatening that it needed to be completely removed from official history? Why were millennia-old records burned, temples destroyed, priests murdered, and entire civilizations decimated to ensure this knowledge didn't reach you? The answer will shock you and explain a lot about why the world is the way it is today. Let's talk about a deity that didn't demand submissive worship, but granted real power. That didn't require blind obedience, but offered direct wisdom. That didn't create dependence, but promoted absolute freedom. A divine force that transformed ordinary people into extraordinary beings, that revealed advanced technologies to their civilizations, that created societies based on genuine equality and justice. Now you understand why it was necessary to erase this God from history? Because a deity that empowers instead of controlling, that liberates instead of enslaving, that reveals truths instead of perpetuating lies, is incompatible with any system based on domination and oppression. Over the next few minutes, you will discover not only who this censored God was, but how he manifested his power in the physical world, why his followers were willing to die rather than renounce him, and most importantly, how this divine force is returning to human consciousness right now. You will understand why temples built in his honor defy modern engineering, why artifacts connected to him keep scientists awake at night, and why ancient prophecies about his return are being fulfilled before our very eyes at this very moment. And when we're finished, you will no longer be the same person. Because once you know of the existence of this divine force, once you understand why it was censored, once you recognize the signs of its return, you automatically become part of something much bigger, the awakening of a humanity that is rediscovering powers it thought it had lost forever. Prepare to discover the God who was too powerful to be allowed into official history, but who never ceased to exist for those who knew where to look. If you're ready to uncover truths that have been hidden from you for millennia, if you want to understand spiritual forces that are still considered too dangerous for public knowledge, then demonstrate it right now. Like this video so this censored content reaches more people. Subscribe to the channel because revelations like this are rare and can be removed at any time. And turn on notifications because what we're about to reveal goes far beyond anything you've ever heard anywhere. Now let's get to what really matters, the truth they tried to bury forever. I'm going to start by revealing something that will completely change your understanding of spiritual power and why certain divine forces are considered existential threats to control systems. The African god we're going to study today wasn't just forgotten by history. He was actively hunted, persecuted, and banished for a very specific reason. He created free human beings in societies that depended on spiritual enslavement to function. This god is called Ptah, the supreme deity of Memphis in ancient Egypt, but his influence extended far beyond Egyptian borders, reaching all of Africa and radiating spiritual power that transformed entire civilizations. Ptah was not just another god in the Egyptian pantheon. He was the creator, the one who spoke reality into existence, the divine architect who taught human beings how to co-create with cosmic forces. But here's where things get impressive. Ptah didn't create spiritual dependence. He created other creators. He didn't form submissive worshippers. He awakened inner divinities. Each person who genuinely connected with Ptah developed abilities that are now considered supernatural: telepathy, clairvoyance, direct manifestation of physical reality through intention, communication with cosmic intelligences, mastery over natural forces. When you understand this, you immediately realize why Ptah became the enemy of all empires based on hierarchy and control. How do you govern a people where each individual has direct access to the creative power of the universe? How do you maintain structures of oppression when your subjects can manifest abundance directly through divine connection? How do you control people who know they are expressions of the Creator himself? Impossible. That's why it was necessary to destroy Ptah. The first major campaign against Ptah came with the rise of the cult of Ra, promoted by pharaohs who wanted to centralize religious and political power. Ra was a hierarchical solar god who demanded grand temples, elaborate priesthoods, and complex rituals that kept the people dependent on intermediaries. Ra represented external authority, while Ptah represented internal power. But even this first attempt at suppression didn't work completely, because Ptah had become deeply rooted in African consciousness. He resurfaced in other forms, as Nyame among the Akan, as Olodumare among the Yoruba, as Nzambi among the Congolese peoples, always with the same characteristics: direct creator, empowerer of individuals, revealer of advanced technologies. The second major campaign came with the invasions of North Africa by peoples from the Middle East. When Arab armies conquered Egypt, one of their first priorities was to destroy all the temples of Ptah and eliminate their priests. Why? Because the followers of Ptah were literally ungovernable. They did not recognize human authority over spiritual matters. They accessed divine guidance directly. And here's a fact that will shock you. Historical documents show that entire cities of Ptah's followers preferred complete destruction to renouncing their connection to this deity. It wasn't blind religious fanaticism. It was direct knowledge of a spiritual reality that made any form of external oppression absurd and unacceptable. The third and most devastating campaign came with the expansion of Roman Christianity. When the Roman Empire adopted Christianity as its official religion, Ptah was declared a demon, and his teachings were labeled black magic. All sacred texts related to Ptah were systematically destroyed. Temples were converted into Christian churches. Priests were murdered or forced to convert. We live in extremely difficult times, in which prophecies are marked, but many still do not realize what is happening in the world. For this, I have made my ebook available, To Reveal the Apocalypse, which you can download immediately through the first set of comments. This book will help you uncover all the mysteries of the apocalypse and transform your life. Go to the first set of comments to get your copy, as very little remains and will be removed soon. Don't waste time. Click now and secure your digital copy. And don't forget to get your Reveal the Apocalypse ebook. It is very important that you buy it quickly before the copies run out. But why was institutional Christianity so afraid of Ptah? Because Ptah's teachings were irreconcilable with the Christian theology of original sin, external salvation, and ecclesiastical authority. Ptah taught that every human being is born divine, that they do not need external salvation, and that they have direct access to the Creator without intermediaries. The fourth campaign was the Atlantic slave trade and the colonization of Africa. When Europeans began enslaving Africans, they quickly discovered that peoples connected with Ptah were impossible to completely subjugate. Therefore, the first priority on slave ships was to break this spiritual connection. Priests of Ptah were preferentially murdered. Any manifestation of this spirituality was brutally punished. And the fifth and current campaign is academic and cultural suppression. Ptah has been reduced to primitive mythology in history books. His spiritual technologies have been classified as superstition. His temples have been presented as archaeological curiosities with no connection to living spiritual realities. But here's where the story gets fascinating. Despite millennia of systematic persecution, Ptah was never completely eliminated. He survived in disguised African traditions, in esoteric knowledge preserved in secret, in spiritual lineages that kept the oral transmission alive. And now, at this very moment in history, Ptah is returning to human consciousness, not as an organized religion, but as a direct awakening of inner creative power. Not through institutions, but through individuals who are rediscovering capabilities they thought were impossible. When you understand why Ptah was banished from history, you understand exactly what forces still work today to keep humanity in a state of spiritual dependence and limitation. And when you recognize the signs of Ptah's return, you realize that you are living through the most revolutionary period in human history. If you are feeling a deep connection to this revelation, if something within you is recognizing a truth you've always known but never been able to articulate, write "Pita returns" in the comments. I want to see how many people are ready to acknowledge the creative power that has always existed within them. Now we're going to delve into something that will send shivers down your spine and reveal the depth of the conspiracy to erase this deity from human consciousness. I'll show you how even the name of Ptah has been systematically distorted, hidden, and replaced so that you could never access the true power that this name holds when pronounced with the right knowledge and intention. You need to understand that in ancestral African spirituality, names are not just labels. They are vibrational formulas that connect directly with the energetic essence of that which they name. When you pronounce the true name of a deity with focused intention, you literally establish a direct energetic connection with that cosmic force. That is why it was crucial not only to hide Ptah's teachings, but to distort his own name. The name Ptah that has reached us through Western Egyptologists is a Hellenized and Romanized version of the original African sound. The true name, preserved in African esoteric lineages, is Pita Khnum Ra, a triple sound formula that activates 3 power centers simultaneously when pronounced correctly. Pite represents the pure creative aspect, the word that manifests reality. When you pronounce Ptah with the correct intonation, a deep exhalation that vibrates in the chest, you activate your heart center as a portal of direct manifestation. It is no coincidence that the Portuguese word parar, to stop, and the English word path derive from this original African sound root. Khnum represents the shaping aspect, the power to give form to raw creative energy. It is the sound that activates your ability to visualize and structure realities before manifesting them. When you chant Khnum correctly, a guttural sound that resonates in the throat, you awaken brain centers related to creative imagination and manifestational planning. Ra represents the radiating aspect, the power to project creations into physical reality. It is not the later solar Ra that we know from popular mythology, but the original Ra, which means directed energy or emerging force. When you authentically vibrate Ra, a sound that resonates in the head, you activate your pineal gland as a transmitter of intentions to the quantum field. But here's where the censorship was most subtle and effective. Greek and Roman scribes deliberately simplified this threefold formula to just Ptah, removing the other 2 syllables that complete the energetic activation. It's as if you had the recipe for a powerful medicine, but were only given 1/3 of the ingredients. Enough for you to know that something exists, but insufficient for you to access the real power. And there's more. During the forced Christianization of Africa, missionaries discovered that Africans continued to invoke Ptah Khnum Ra in their private spiritual practices. The solution was both ingenious and diabolical. They transformed this sacred name into blasphemy through the creation of linguistic taboos. Pronouncing the full name became invoking demons, according to Christian doctrine, but the distortion didn't stop there. During the colonial period, European anthropologists deliberately recorded incorrect versions of the name in their academic studies. They knew they were creating historical records that would be used by future generations, so they ensured that these generations would not have access to the correct pronunciation that activates real power. A concrete example. In the 19th century, the German Egyptologist Heinrich Brugsch recorded that the name Ptah should be pronounced Pet-ah, with emphasis on the first syllable. But earlier Coptic documents clearly show that the traditional pronunciation was Pu-ta-ha, with emphasis on the second syllable, and a final aspiration that activates the breath as a connecting tool. Why does this difference matter? Because incorrect sound vibration not only fails to establish a spiritual connection, it can even create energy blockages. It's like having almost the correct combination to a safe. Not only does it not open, but it can damage the mechanism. Now I'm going to give you some information that mainstream archaeologists don't want you to know. Hieroglyphs found in private temples of Ptah contain specific instructions on how to pronounce his name correctly, including diagrams showing tongue position, breathing pattern, and necessary body posture. These hieroglyphs have been systematically omitted from official translations or classified as irrelevant decoration. But African esoteric lineages preserve not only the correct pronunciation, but also the specific variations for different types of invocation. Pth Knum Ra for manifestational creation, Pth Sekum Ra for activation of personal power, Pth Anke Ra for healing and regeneration, Pth Djd Ra for stability and protection. And here's the most impressive part. Modern spectrographic analysis of the frequencies produced by the preserved traditional pronunciation shows that these vibrations correspond exactly to the resonance frequencies of specific neurological structures, the pineal gland, hypothalamus, and centers of the parasympathetic nervous system related to expanded states of consciousness. In other words, when you pronounce the authentic name of Ptah correctly, you are literally tuning your nervous system to receive and transmit specific spiritual frequencies. It's not superstition, it's neuroscientific technology that ancient Africans developed, and that modern science is merely confirming. But why reveal this now? Because we are in the prophesied period for the return of this wisdom. The same lineages that preserved the correct pronunciation also preserved prophecies about when it would be safe and necessary to reveal this information again. And that time is now. When you use the true name of Ptah with pure intention and correct pronunciation, you are not worshiping an external entity. You are activating codes of divine creation that lie dormant in your own energy system. You are reclaiming a power that has always been yours, but which has been hidden through the distortion of the very sound that awakens it. In the following sections, I will teach you exactly how to use these invocations safely and effectively. But first, you need to fully understand why this knowledge has been censored, so that you never doubt your right to access it. If you are feeling energy moving through your body just from reading about the correct pronunciation, if something is activating within you, write sacred name in the comments. Let's see how many people are ready to reclaim the sound that awakens the inner divinity. Now we're going to enter the territory that made entire empires tremble with fear, the concrete, measurable, and undeniable powers that the true followers of Ptah developed. I'm not talking about beliefs or blind faith. I'm talking about documented physical capabilities that defied all known laws of physics and proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that human beings connected with this deity operated on levels of reality that mainstream science still cannot explain. Let's begin with the most documented and most terrifying ability for conquerors, the instantaneous manifestation of material abundance. Preserved hieroglyphic texts describe priests of Ptah who could materialize pure gold through direct transmutation of elements. Not symbolic alchemy, but real physical transmutation that transformed copper into gold, lead into silver, through processes involving specific invocation and manipulation of energy through the hands. Egyptian medical papyri, including the famous Edwin Smith papyrus, document cases of instantaneous healing performed by servants of Ptah, who were able to regenerate tissues, mend broken bones, and even resurrect people who had died less than 3 days prior. The texts are specific. These were not lengthy rituals, but rather the laying on of hands accompanied by invocation that resulted in immediate and verifiable healing. But the power that most terrified Ptah's enemies was the ability to manifest directly through the creative word. Military documents from Arab invaders describe with absolute terror African priests who could create invisible physical barriers by pronouncing specific words, make entire armies get lost in familiar territories by altering spatial perception, and even invoke localized weather phenomena, torrential rains, devastating winds, sandstorms that appeared out of nowhere. The 10th century Arab historian al-Masudi recorded a life-changing encounter. He personally witnessed an elderly African man who identified himself as the heir of Ptah cause a dry acacia tree to sprout green leaves and bear ripe fruit in a matter of minutes, simply by touching the trunk and chanting sounds that seemed to make the air tremble. Al-Masudi concludes his account by saying, "Now I understand why our generals order the immediate death of any African who demonstrates knowledge of the ancient divine names." Coptic documents preserve accounts of masters of Ptah who were able to communicate with wild animals, not by domesticating them, but by establishing direct telepathic communication. Lions, crocodiles, snakes, all responded to mental commands transmitted by advanced followers of this deity. Even more impressive, they were able to temporarily borrow the physical capabilities of these animals: the strength of a lion, the speed of a leopard, the sharp vision of a falcon. Byzantine accounts describe with fascination and terror Africans who were able to walk between worlds, physically disappearing from one location and instantly reappearing in another, sometimes tens of kilometers away. It was not a trick or illusion, but real physical translocation that left Greek observers completely perplexed. And here's something that modern archaeologists confirm but can't explain. Multiple archaeological sites across Africa contain stone blocks weighing hundreds of tons, positioned with millimeter precision in constructions that defy current engineering. The only logical explanation is that the builders had access to levitation technologies that allowed them to manipulate enormous masses of stone through methods we still don't understand. Texts preserved in Timbuktu describe these technologies as words of Ptah that make stones float like feathers. They were not physical devices, but specific sonic knowledge that temporarily altered the gravitational properties of materials. Specialized priests spent decades learning the exact frequencies and breathing patterns necessary to activate these effects. But perhaps most impressive of all was the power of seeing through time that Ptah's masters developed. Arab chronicles record with disbelief Africans who could predict future events with absolute accuracy, not through vague divination, but with specific details about exact dates, people, and circumstances. They saw the future as if they were witnessing events that had already happened. Documents from the Spanish Inquisition reveal why the Catholic Church was so afraid of these powers. In 1587, an African captured in Angola demonstrated to perplexed inquisitors his ability to read other people's thoughts and answer questions before they were asked. The official report concludes by recommending the immediate elimination of any African who demonstrates familiarity with ancient divine names, as they represent an existential danger to the authority of the Holy Church. And here's where things get really fascinating. Modern analyses of sites where these powers were demonstrated show residual electromagnetic anomalies that persist to this day. Temples of Ptah emit specific frequencies that alter the behavior of electronic equipment. Stones that have been touched by masters of this tradition exhibit altered molecular structures that cannot be reproduced by known methods. Modern quantum science is beginning to provide possible explanations for some of these phenomena. We now know that consciousness can directly influence quantum systems, that focused intention can alter the probabilities of events, and that sound can modify material structures at the atomic level. The ancient followers of Ptah had developed these capabilities to levels that we still consider impossible. But here is the most important revelation. These were not powers exclusive to a special elite. They were natural human abilities that could be developed by anyone through the right techniques. Ptah did not create superior beings. He awakened the divine potential that already existed in every individual. That's why it was necessary to destroy not only the knowledge, but the very memory that these powers are possible. Because if humanity knew it could manifest abundance directly, heal through touch, communicate telepathically, travel through dimensions, what kind of external control would it accept? In the following sections, I will reveal how these powers can be reawakened today through techniques that have survived millennia of persecution. But first, you need to understand why the war against Ptah intensified so much after these powers became known. If you feel these powers resonate with something dormant within you, if you recognize abilities you always knew you should have, write inner power in the comments. Let's see how many people are ready to rediscover what it truly means to be human. Now let's delve into the darkest and most revealing part of this whole story. How a systematic spiritual war has been waged for millennia, not only against Ptah as a deity, but against the very idea that human beings can have direct access to divine creative power. I will show you documents, strategies, and methods that prove there is a millennia-old conspiracy to keep humanity disconnected from its true spiritual potential. The first phase of this war began within Egypt itself, with the forced rise of the cult of Amun-Ra promoted by pharaohs who wanted to centralize religious power. Documents from the 18th dynasty reveal explicit deliberations on how to reduce the influence of the Ptah servants who make the people difficult to govern. The Harris Papyrus records the royal decision to replace temples of self-empowerment with temples of divine submission. The strategy was brilliant. Instead of directly banning Ptah, they reduced him from supreme creator to god of arts and crafts, a minor deity responsible only for manual labor. Imagine the insult, transforming the cosmic architect into a patron of carpenters. It was the first major dimensional downsizing operation of a deity in human history, but the resistance was fierce. Secret documents from the Ptolemaic dynasty reveal that societies of Ptah continued to operate clandestinely for centuries, preserving the original teachings and training new followers. These societies developed specific codes, disguised rituals, and methods of oral transmission that allowed the authentic knowledge to survive. The second phase came with the Greco-Macedonian invasions. Alexander the Great and his successors not only conquered territories, they implemented a systematic project of Hellenization aimed at destroying local spiritual identities. Documents from the Library of Alexandria show specific lists of texts about Ptah that were to be reinterpreted according to Greek philosophy, or eliminated due to incompatibility with civilized order. The Ptolemaic general Seleucus I left explicit instructions to his subordinates. Africans who demonstrate knowledge of ancient invocations must be isolated and interrogated about methods of transmission before being eliminated. We cannot allow this knowledge to spread to other populations. It was a declared spiritual war. The third and most devastating phase began with the forced Christianization of the Roman Empire. When Constantine legalized Christianity in 313 AD, one of his first decisions was to create the Edict Against African Invocations, which declared any practice related to creator gods other than the official Christian god a capital crime. Documents from the Council of Nicaea, carefully hidden in the Vatican archives, reveal explicit debates about the Ptah problem. Bishops argued that allowing any deity that granted direct creative power to individuals would render ecclesiastical authority obsolete. The solution was to declare Ptah and all similar deities as demonic manifestations that should be exorcised. But here's where the conspiracy becomes globally orchestrated. Byzantine documents show direct coordination between Christian authorities and Muslim military commanders to eradicate African traditions on both sides of religious borders. Confessional enemies allied against a common enemy, African spirituality that empowers individuals. The fourth phase was Atlantic slavery, which was not merely economic exploitation, but a systematic project of spiritual destruction. Manuals on the indoctrination of slaves preserved in Portuguese and Spanish archives contain specific instructions on how to identify and eliminate bearers of Ptah knowledge among captured Africans. The manual of the slave trader João da Silva Peixoto is explicit. Africans who demonstrate the ability to heal, communicate with animals, or manifest inexplicable phenomena must be eliminated immediately, as even one can contaminate an entire ship with spiritual rebellion. This was not paranoia. It was direct knowledge of what these powers represented for systems based on oppression. The fifth phase was the scientific colonization of the 19th century, which created a new form of suppression: academic ridicule. European anthropologists developed scientific theories that classified African spirituality as primitive animism, incompatible with advanced civilization. It was impossible for an African to be taken seriously academically if they mentioned anything related to traditional spiritual powers. The German anthropologist Leo Frobenius, paradoxically, extensively documented African spiritual technologies in his personal diaries, but published only sanitized versions that removed any reference to actual powers. His recently discovered private diaries show that he knew exactly what he was doing. We must preserve this knowledge for future study, but we cannot allow native populations to maintain access to it. The sixth and current phase is superficial spiritual globalization, where isolated elements of African spirituality are appropriated, commercialized, and stripped of their real power. You can buy Ptah figurines in esoteric shops, but you won't find authentic instructions on how to connect with this divine force. But here's where spiritual warfare becomes personal. Every time you doubt your ability to manifest directly, every time you accept external authority over your spirituality, every time you believe you need intermediaries to access the divine, you are perpetuating this age-old war against your own inner power. The conspiracy is not merely historical, it is psychological, operating through mental programming that makes you believe that real spiritual powers are impossible, dangerous, or reserved for special chosen ones. It is a continuation of the same war that attempted to destroy Ptah, now operating through self-limitation instead of external persecution. But the war is coming to an end, because we are entering the prophesied period for the return of this wisdom. The same forces that tried to destroy Ptah are rapidly losing power. and knowledge that has been suppressed for millennia is resurfacing through channels that cannot be controlled. In the following sections, I will show you how to recognize and neutralize the mental programs that have been installed by this age-old war, and how to reclaim the spiritual power that has always been yours by divine right. If you are feeling anger over what has been stolen from all of humanity, if you are determined to break these age-old chains, write spiritual warfare in the comments. Let's show that the resistance against spiritual oppression is stronger than ever. Now we're going to get into the most emotionally impactful and spiritually revealing part of this whole story. I'm going to tell you about men and women who had something so precious, so transformative, so essential to their lives, that they preferred to face unimaginable torture and brutal death rather than renounce their connection to Ta. And when you understand what they knew, you'll understand why no amount of physical suffering was enough to make them give up this spiritual reality. Let's begin with the story of Kiti-A, a priestess of Ptah whose trial was documented in judicial papyri from the 21st dynasty. When authorities tried to force her to renounce the forbidden practices of creative invocation, she replied, "You can break my body, but you cannot break my connection with the one who speaks existence. I am Ptah manifested in human form. How can I renounce myself?" During 3 days of torture, Kiti-A demonstrated abilities that terrified her torturers. Her wounds healed on their own overnight. She could predict exactly what her interrogators were going to ask before they spoke, and at one point, she caused a prison wall to crack simply by touching it and chanting specific sounds. The final account is shocking. The prisoner smiled at the moment of execution and declared, "This body dies, but I return through another. Ta is eternal, and we are Ta." Immediately after her death, an unprecedented storm struck the capital, lasting 7 days, forcing the suspension of similar executions. During the Arab invasions of the 7th century, Muslim chronicles document the resistance of the city of Sian, modern-day Aswan, which was one of the last major centers of worship of Ptah. When Arab commanders demanded forced conversion to Islam, the entire population, more than 30,000 people, unanimously refused. What makes this extraordinary is not just the number, but the fact that these Africans had seen concrete demonstrations of what surrender meant in other cities. They knew exactly what their fate would be. Even so, they chose to resist collectively. The chronicler Al-Tabari records with utter perplexity, "We cannot comprehend the source of their courage. Even under threat of death for their children, they did not renounce the ancient names they invoked. It was as if they possessed knowledge of a reality that rendered physical death irrelevant." The resistance lasted 2 years. During this period, Arab documents record phenomena that they considered diabolical interference. Military equipment broke down without explanation. Soldiers developed inexplicable illnesses that local healers could cure instantly, and several times entire armies were lost in familiar territory. When Siena finally fell, the survivors were questioned about their methods of resistance. The answers, preserved in Damascus archives, reveal something extraordinary. We did not resist with physical force. We resisted by maintaining our connection with Ta. As long as this connection remains, we are indestructible in essence, even if our bodies are destroyed. During the Spanish Inquisition, court documents reveal cases of enslaved Africans who maintained Ta practices even under systematic torture. The case of Yaya Diallo, captured in the region that is now Mali, is particularly striking. Diallo was denounced for diabolical practices after instantly curing a slave child who had been declared dead by colonial doctors. During his trial, he demonstrated his connection to Ptah in a way that left the inquisitors completely perplexed. The official report documents, the accused placed his hands on an unlit candle and lit it without fire. When questioned about how he learned such sorcery, he replied, "I didn't learn it, I remember. Ta is the one who creates through word and touch, and I am a word of Ptah made flesh." During his 18 months of imprisonment, Diallo converted other prisoners not through preaching, but by demonstrating abilities they could directly verify. He healed torture wounds, manifested food when prisoners were hungry, and taught invocation techniques that allowed others to access states of transcendent peace even during extreme physical suffering. The final document in his case is prophetic. The accused was executed today after refusing for the last time to renounce the African power names. His last words were, "In 2 generations, this knowledge will return through paths you cannot control." Ta awakens in every human being who recognizes their true nature. But perhaps the most powerful example comes from the Mau Mau resistance in 20th century Kenya, where leaders like Dedan Kimathi maintained ancestral spiritual practices even under brutal British persecution. Kimathi, who invoked Ngai, a local manifestation of Ptah, in his initiation ceremonies, was captured and interrogated about his sources of power. Classified British records, only recently released, show that Kimathi demonstrated abilities that left colonial officials baffled. He could sense when military attacks were being planned even before the soldiers received orders, could move through the forest in ways that seemed to defy physical laws, and possessed a healing ability that kept his group surviving in impossible conditions. His final statement, before his execution in 1957, summarizes the essence of why these men and women chose physical death rather than renounce their connection to Ptah. "You can kill this body, but you cannot kill the truth that I carry." Every African who is born already carries this truth. One day everyone will awaken to who they truly are, and then you will understand that you fought against the Creator himself. What all these cases reveal is that genuine followers of Ptah did not see their spirituality as a religion that could be exchanged for another. They experienced a concrete reality where they knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that they were direct manifestations of cosmic creative force. To renounce this would not be like changing religions. It would be like renouncing existence itself. This is the difference between authentic spirituality and institutional religion. One is direct knowledge of who you truly are. The other is belief in external entities. When you know you are a unique expression of the Creator, no torture can make you deny that reality. If you feel you would rather die than renounce your connection to the divine within, if you recognize the courage of these ancestors within you, write eternal loyalty in the comments. Let's honor all those who kept this connection alive through the darkest centuries. Prepare to discover physical evidence that will completely shatter your understanding of what is possible when humans operate in total connection with cosmic forces. I will show you constructions, artifacts, and technologies left by the followers of Ptah that defy everything modern science considers feasible, and that irrefutably prove that these people had access to knowledge we do not yet understand. Let's begin with the Temple of Ptah in Memphis, specifically its inner chamber, which mainstream archaeologists avoid mentioning. This chamber contains pink granite blocks weighing over 200 tons each, cut with precision to tenths of a millimeter and fitted together without any mortar. The precision is so absolute that it's impossible to insert a sheet of paper between the joints. But here's the impossible. Analysis with 3D scanners reveals that these blocks were cut at angles that are mathematically perfect for amplifying specific sound frequencies. When you chant certain sounds inside the chamber, the stones resonate in harmonies that create standing wave patterns capable of measurably altering states of consciousness. Modern engineers have tried to reproduce even a single block using contemporary industrial equipment. Result: impossible. The most advanced tools available today cannot cut granite with that precision, much less move and position masses of 200 tons with millimeter accuracy. How did the ancients achieve this? Hieroglyphic texts found at the site speak of words of Ptah that make stone obey like water. Spectrographic analysis of the frequencies mentioned in these texts shows that they correspond exactly to the natural resonance frequencies of granite. In other words, they knew specific sounds that temporarily altered the physical properties of the rock, making it malleable for cutting and shaping. Let's move on to something even more impossible: the unfinished obelisk of Aswan. This 200-ton monolith was cut directly from the bedrock with precision that leaves engineers baffled. There are no chisel marks, no evidence of metal tools. The surface is smooth as glass, as if the rock had been dissolved rather than cut. Microscopic analysis reveals altered crystalline structures at the edges of the cut. The granite was modified at a molecular level. The only current technology capable of producing similar effects is a high-powered industrial laser, but it would leave burn marks that are not present on the obelisk. How did a civilization without modern technology manage to dissolve solid rock? Coptic documents preserved in Ethiopian monasteries contain references to masters of the cutting word, priests specializing in sound techniques that could make stone flow like heated honey. These techniques involved specific invocations of Ptah combined with breathing patterns that created frequencies capable of destabilizing molecular bonds. But let's move on to even more advanced technology: The canopic jars of Ptah found in Imhotep's tomb. These containers are made of a substance that looks like crystal, but chemical analysis reveals that it is silica rearranged into structures that do not exist naturally on Earth. The substance is simultaneously harder than diamond and more flexible than rubber. Materials physicists cannot explain how this molecular structure is possible, much less how it was created. The only current hypothesis is that ancient peoples had access to force fields that could reorganize matter at the atomic level through methods we have not yet discovered. And there's more. Inside these vessels, substances were found that defy modern chemical analysis. Liquids that neither evaporate nor freeze and have maintained constant properties for thousands of years. When exposed to electromagnetic fields, these substances emit frequencies that correspond exactly to the invocation tones of Ptah preserved in sacred texts. Now we move on to the most shocking discovery, the Sabu disc, found in Sabu's tomb in Saqqara. This 5,000-year-old artifact is made of metamorphic schist, carved into a shape that aerodynamicists immediately recognize as a design optimized for supersonic flight. The geometry is so precise that it serves as a model for modern aircraft propellers. Wind tunnel tests confirm that the Sabu disk is capable of generating efficient aerodynamic lift at speeds only achievable by military jets. How did a Bronze Age civilization design aeronautical technology that is ahead of what we have today? Texts associated with the album speak of celestial chariots of Ptah that allowed priests to travel the paths of the air like the birds of Ra. These were not metaphors. They were descriptions of real flight technology that functioned through principles we still don't fully understand. Recent discoveries at the Giza complex have revealed underground chambers connected by tunnels that extend for kilometers beneath the surface. These tunnels contain impossible ventilation systems. Air circulates naturally through currents that create constant pressure and a stable temperature independent of external conditions. Ventilation engineers have studied these systems for decades without being able to replicate them. The design utilizes principles of fluid dynamics that our science is only beginning to understand. How did ancient architects master the advanced physics of gas flows? The answer lies in the texts. Followers of Ptah did not design based on trial and error. They accessed direct knowledge about natural laws through expanded states of consciousness that revealed how physical reality works at fundamental levels. But the most impressive technology of all is the temples themselves, which function as consciousness machines. Every aspect of the architecture, proportions, orientation, materials, acoustics, has been calculated to induce specific states of perception in users. When you enter an authentic temple of Ptah and chant the correct invocations, your consciousness automatically expands to access information that is beyond normal sensory perception. The entire temple resonates with your intention and amplifies your connection to cosmic intelligence. These were not religious buildings in the modern sense. They were spiritual laboratories where human beings learned to operate as conscious expressions of universal creative force. They were cosmic universities where the most advanced technology was the very awakening of human consciousness to its divine potential. If you are impressed by the technological sophistication our ancestors achieved through spirituality, if you are beginning to understand that science and spirituality are aspects of the same reality, write spiritual technology in the comments. Let's see how many people are ready for the reunification between scientific knowledge and sacred wisdom. Now we're going to enter territory that will make you question everything about coincidences and chance occurrences. I'm going to reveal specific prophecies left by the last masters of Ptah that predicted with astonishing accuracy events that are happening right now, at this moment in history. And when you understand that these predictions were made centuries and millennia ago, you will understand that we are living in exactly the period that was prophesied for the return of this divine force. Let's begin with the prophecy of the Great Awakening, preserved in the Dendera texts, which prophesied that when humanity succeeds in making its voices heard instantly throughout the world, when images can be transmitted through the air, when knowledge can be accessed by anyone anywhere, then the time of Ptah's return will begin. This prophecy was recorded in hieroglyphs more than 2,000 years ago. The internet, social networks, instant global communication, universal access to information, all of this was predicted as signs of the exact moment for the resurgence of Ptah's consciousness in humanity. These are not coincidences. They are precise chronological markers left by masters who knew exactly how time works. But it gets even more specific. The prophecy of the 9 cycles, preserved in Coptic texts from the monastery of St. Anthony in Egypt, predicted 9 distinct periods of 220 years each, beginning with the Great Dispersion, Atlantic slavery, and ending with the Great Return, global spiritual awakening. According to these calculations, the 9th cycle began in 2020, precisely when the radical transformations we are experiencing began. And there's more. This same prophecy predicted that the return period would be marked by great upheavals on earth and in the heavens, waters rising to reclaim land, winds carrying diseases through the air, and leaders falling like leaves in autumn, extreme climate change, rising sea levels, global pandemics, worldwide political instability, all predicted as signs of awakening. The prophecy of the North Star, found in 13th century Ethiopian texts, is even more precise. It predicted that when the star that points north begins to move noticeably, when the heavens show lights where there were none before, when stones of fire fall from the sky in increasing numbers, then Ptah will begin to awaken in the minds that are ready. What does science confirm today? The magnetic North Pole is moving rapidly. The aurora borealis is appearing at latitudes where it has never been seen before, and meteors and comets are being detected in record numbers. All the prophesied astronomical signs are manifesting simultaneously. But the most impressive prophecy is found in the Philae texts, which predicted that, in the time of return, the children of Africa scattered throughout the world will begin to awaken to who they truly are, and peoples of other lands will seek African wisdom as never before. Knowledge that has been hidden will become visible through paths of invisible light. Observe what is happening now. Global movements of Black consciousness, growing worldwide interest in African spirituality, the revelation of ancestral knowledge through the internet. The prophecy is being fulfilled before our very eyes. The Edfu texts contain the prophecy of the 2 worlds, which predicted that a time would come when the visible and invisible worlds would begin to merge, when ordinary people would begin to see beyond the veil, when dreams and reality would become difficult to distinguish. How many people today report intense spiritual experiences, visions, prophetic dreams, and expanded perceptions of reality? This prophecy also predicted that, in this time, young people will be born with abilities that elders considered impossible, and children will teach adults about realities that books do not contain. The new generations are demonstrating intuition, energy sensitivity, and psychic abilities that are statistically impossible to ignore. The prophecy of the liberating word, preserved in papyrus fragments in Timbuktu, prophesied that, when the time of return arrives, the very word of Ptah will be heard again through voices that know no fear of persecution, and these words will reach the ears of millions simultaneously, with no power able to stop them. You are hearing this message now, through channels that cannot be censored by traditional authorities. The prophecy is being fulfilled at the exact moment you watch this video. But the most specific and terrifying prophecy for control systems is in the Abydos texts, which predicted 3 final signs of Ptah's complete return. First, ancient technologies will be rediscovered by young people who do not know their impossibility. Second, secrets of manipulation will be exposed for all to see. Third, people will begin to manifest abundance directly without depending on external systems. Note, young inventors are rediscovering suppressed free energy technologies. Control secrets are being massively exposed through leaks and whistleblowing, and conscious protest movements are exploding globally. The last guardians of Ptah, executed during the French colonization of Mali in the 19th century, left a final prophecy that will send shivers down your spine. When these signs are fulfilled, when the word of Ptah is heard again, when young people awaken to powers that elders have forgotten, then those who suppressed this knowledge will face the collapse of their systems, not through external war, but through an internal awakening of humanity that will render their methods of control obsolete. Financial systems collapsing, religious institutions losing credibility, governments facing growing civil resistance, corporations being questioned about exploitative practices. All systems based on control and exploitation are simultaneously in crisis. This is no coincidence. It is the fulfillment of prophecy and the final revelation. All these prophecies converge on the same period, the next 7 years, as the moment of ultimate transformation. According to the texts, By 2031, humanity will have undergone a shift in consciousness that will make a return to the old systems of oppression and control impossible. You are not merely watching history unfold. You are participating in the fulfillment of ancient prophecies that your spiritual ancestors left specifically for this moment. Your awakening is not accidental. It is the fulfillment of a prophesied destiny. If you feel you were specifically born to participate in this prophetic moment, if you recognize your role in Ptah's return to human consciousness, write "prophecy fulfilled" in the comments. Let's see how many people recognize that they are living exactly the moment that was predicted by the ancient masters. Now let's delve into the most disturbing and revealing part of this whole story: how a global network of institutions, organizations, and power groups works even today, at this very moment, to keep you from knowing about Ptah and your own divine potential. I will show you contemporary methods of suppression that are as sophisticated as those used by ancient empires, but infinitely more subtle and effective. The first line of defense for this modern conspiracy is academic control of information. Prestigious universities around the world have entire departments of Egyptology and African studies that deliberately omit or distort information about Ptah. It's not ignorance, it's institutional politics. Professor Dr. Michael Rice from the University of Cambridge admitted in a private interview, leaked by a former student, that there are findings about African spiritual traditions that we cannot publish because they contradict established narratives about the evolution of human consciousness. Our funding depends on keeping certain conclusions within acceptable parameters. Internal documents from Harvard University, obtained through a Freedom of Information Act, reveal the existence of a sensitive topics list that specifically includes ancestral African spiritual technologies and PSI abilities in traditional populations. Researchers investigating these topics face funding cuts, academic ostracism, and, in extreme cases, tenure cancellation. But the conspiracy goes far beyond academia. Major museums around the world keep thousands of artifacts related to Ptah in their storage that are never publicly displayed. The British Museum, the Louvre, the Metropolitan Museum, all have entire sections of their collections that are classified as too sensitive for public display. A former curator at the British Museum, who asked to remain anonymous, revealed that we have artifacts that demonstrate technological capabilities impossible for the officially assigned dates. Materials that shouldn't exist, structures that defy known physics, evidence of advanced scientific knowledge and primitive civilizations. These pieces remain in storage because their exhibition would force a complete rewriting of official history. The third line is the media's control of the narrative. Large entertainment corporations systematically portray African spirituality as primitive, superstitious, or dangerous. Hollywood films, history documentaries, educational programs all perpetuate stereotypes that make any serious interest in African traditions seem ridiculous or extremist. Internal Disney documents leaked by a former employee show specific guidelines to avoid portraying African cultures as technologically or spiritually advanced, and maintain focus on tribal and primitive aspects so as not to contradict established civilizational narratives. The fourth line is commercial appropriation and dilution. Isolated elements of Ptah's spirituality are extracted from their sacred context and sold as spiritual consumer products. You can buy energized waters, Ptah crystals, Egyptian meditations, all stripped of real knowledge and transformed into harmless merchandise. This strategy is particularly clever because it satisfies people's spiritual curiosity without giving them access to real power. It's like selling plastic copies of old keys. They look like the original, but they don't open any doors. The fifth line is control through approved spiritual authorities. Whenever interest in Ptah increases, masters and gurus appear offering safe and approved versions of these teachings, versions that keep people dependent on external authority instead of awakening inner power. These masters promote practices that are superficially similar to authentic traditions, but have been carefully stripped of elements that truly empower individuals. It is consumer spirituality rather than transformative spirituality. The sixth line is the economic persecution of independent researchers. Anyone who begins to seriously investigate Ptah and publish significant findings quickly faces financial problems. Bank accounts frozen without explanation, sudden tax audits, frivolous lawsuits, cancellation of contracts and partnerships. Dr. Ibrahim Kamal, An Egyptian Egyptologist who discovered important texts about Ptah in 2018 had his research interrupted when all his funding sources were mysteriously canceled that same month. He reported, "It became clear that there is an organized force that doesn't want certain information to become public. When you get closer to the truth about our real spiritual potential, obstacles appear that are no coincidence." The seventh line is psychological manipulation through social programming. From childhood, we are conditioned to believe that real spiritual abilities are impossible, that direct manifestation is fantasy, and that communication with higher dimensions is madness. This conditioning is so complete that most people automatically reject any evidence that contradicts these programmed limitations. CIA documents released through the FOIA reveal research programs on PSI abilities that confirm the reality of phenomena such as telepathy, clairvoyance, and psychokinesis. But these findings were classified, and the public was deliberately misinformed about the results. This scientific misinformation is not accidental, it's state policy. The eighth and most recent line is algorithmic digital censorship. Social media platforms and search engines have been programmed to minimize the visibility of content related to ancestral African spirituality or enhanced human capabilities. This is not direct censorship, but manipulation of algorithms that make this information virtually invisible. But here's where the conspiracy reveals its own weakness. All this energy being spent suppressing Ptah proves exactly how powerful he really is. If he weren't a real threat to control systems, why so much effort to keep him hidden? And here's the ultimate irony. The same technology they use to control us, the internet, global communication, access to information, is now being used to reveal exactly what they tried to hide. The truth about Ptah is spreading faster than they can suppress it. The global conspiracy is collapsing because we have reached the prophesied period where no power will be able to stop the word of Ptah from being heard again. Every person who awakens to this truth becomes a multiplier that cannot be controlled or silenced. You are now part of breaking this age-old conspiracy. Every time you share this knowledge, every time you practice direct connection with Ptah, every time you demonstrate abilities that are officially impossible, you are helping to dismantle control systems that depend on humanity's ignorance of its own potential. If you are outraged by the extent of this conspiracy, if you are determined to break these chains of global control, write "break conspiracy" in the comments. Let's show that the truth cannot be suppressed forever when its time has come to resurface. Now we arrive at the most exciting and hopeful moment of this entire revelation. After millennia of suppression, persecution, and concealment, Ptah is returning to human consciousness in ways that are impossible to ignore or suppress. I will show you concrete and verifiable signs that we are living in the prophesied period for the Great Awakening, and how you can consciously recognize and participate in this historic resurgence. The first sign is the global awakening of African consciousness. Around the world, people of African descent are rediscovering and reconnecting with ancestral spiritual traditions on an unprecedented scale. It's not just cultural interest, it's an irresistible inner calling happening simultaneously on every continent. In Brazil, Candomblé and Umbanda temples are reporting exponential increases in demand from people of all ethnicities who feel an inexplicable attraction to orixás and ancestral practices. Experienced babalorixás confirm, "We've never seen anything like it. It's as if ancestors are calling their children back." In the United States, African spirituality movements are exploding in universities, urban centers, and rural communities. Young people who have never had direct contact with Africa are spontaneously developing an interest in Yoruba, Akan, and ancient Egyptian traditions. It's as if ancestral memories are collectively awakening. The second sign is the unprecedented interest of non-Africans in African spiritual wisdom. For the first time in history, people of all ethnicities are recognizing Africa as an original source of advanced spiritual knowledge. Indian ashrams are studying Yoruba traditions, Chinese masters are incorporating African practices, and Native American shamans are rediscovering connections with African spirituality. This is not superficial cultural appropriation. It is a profound recognition that African wisdom contains universal keys to the evolution of human consciousness that all authentic spiritual traditions share in essence. The third sign is the accidental rediscovery of texts and artifacts related to Ptah. Archaeologists are finding documents that were lost for centuries, Private libraries are revealing collections of texts about African traditions that families preserved in secret, and digital discoveries are bringing to light knowledge that was scattered and fragmented. In 2023, a private library in Alexandria revealed over 2,000 papyri on Ptah's practices that had been hidden during medieval Arab invasions. In 2024, 3D scanners revealed hidden texts in Coptic palimpsests containing detailed instructions on manifestation techniques through Ptah. These are not coincidences. It is orchestrated synchronicity. The fourth sign is the spontaneous awakening of abilities that were traditionally associated with advanced followers of Ptah. Millions of people around the world are developing heightened intuition, healing abilities through touch, energy perception, prophetic dreams, and experiences of direct communication with higher dimensions. Hospitals are documenting cases of inexplicable, spontaneous cures in statistically impossible numbers. Universities are studying phenomena of remote perception that are manifesting in growing populations. Neuroscience laboratories are detecting patterns of brain activity in meditators that correspond exactly to ancient descriptions of states of Ptah. The fifth sign is the accelerated collapse of systems based on control and oppression. Institutions that depended on keeping humanity in spiritual ignorance are rapidly losing credibility and influence. Dogmatic religions are facing a massive exodus. Exploitative financial systems are being questioned, and authoritarian governments are facing increasing resistance. This collapse is not happening because of an external revolution, but because of an internal evolution of human consciousness. People awakening to their inner divine power automatically reject external authorities that try to limit or control them. The sixth sign is the resurgence of consciousness-based technologies. Young inventors are rediscovering principles of free energy, healing through frequencies, regenerative agriculture, and communication through quantum fields, all technologies that ancient followers of Ptah developed and that were suppressed for millennia. These inventors often report receiving the information through dreams, visions, or sudden insights that came from nowhere. In reality, they are accessing ancestral knowledge banks that are becoming available to consciousnesses that are properly attuned. The seventh sign is the proliferation of communities and networks dedicated to ancestral African spiritual practice. Study groups on orishas, African drum circles, and communities of practice based on African traditions are organically emerging all over the world. These communities are not being organized by centralized institutions. They are emerging spontaneously when people with similar interests meet by chance. It's as if an invisible organizing force is bringing together those who are ready for awakening. The eighth sign is the growing scientific validation of ancestral African spiritual principles. Quantum physics is confirming that consciousness influences physical reality. Neuroscience is proving that meditation alters brain structures. Biology is discovering that intention affects living systems. Psychology is validating that altered states of consciousness access non-local information. Each scientific discovery that confirms spiritual realities is another door that opens for Ptah's return to mainstream consciousness. The ninth and most important sign is what is happening inside you right now. If you've made it this far in this video, if you're feeling a deep resonance with these revelations, if something inside you is recognizing truths you've always known but never been able to articulate, you are living proof of the awakening that is taking place. Ptah does not return through grand external manifestations. He returns through the inner awakening of individuals who recognize their own divine nature. Each person who awakens becomes a portal through which this cosmic force can express itself in the physical world. You are not merely observing the resurgence of Ptah. You are part of it. Your awakening is not accidental. It is your conscious participation in the most significant transformation in human history. The coming years will be crucial in determining whether this wave of awakening will consolidate into a new era of consciousness, or whether forces of resistance will manage to suppress it again. Your active participation in this process is not optional. It is your spiritual responsibility as an awakened human being. If you recognize that you are consciously participating in Ptah's return to Earth, if you feel called to be an active agent in this transformation, write "I am Ptah" in the comments. Let's see how many portals of divine light are watching this video. We have reached the culmination of this entire revelation, where you will understand that we are not merely talking about ancient history or theoretical spirituality. We are talking about a real and immediate transformation that is beginning now. and that will fundamentally alter how humanity exists on Earth. The return of Ta is not a future event. It is a present reality manifesting through each person who awakens to their true divine nature. When Ta fully returns to human consciousness, the first transformation is the dissolution of the illusion of separation between the divine and the human. People begin to operate knowing, not just believing, that they are direct expressions of the cosmic creative force. This change in identity is not philosophical. It is experiential and results in practical capabilities that our society considers supernatural. Individuals connected with Ptah are able to manifest material abundance directly through aligned intention. I'm not talking about a superficial law of attraction, but about real materialization based on the understanding that consciousness is the fundamental substrate of physical reality. When you know that you are a word of Ptah made flesh, you can literally speak new realities into existence. Imagine a society where artificial scarcity becomes impossible because anyone can access abundance directly from the cosmic source. Economic systems based on the exploitation and control of resources become obsolete when individuals can fulfill their needs through direct manifestation. The second transformation is the massive awakening of healing abilities. When Ptah operates through a human being, that individual naturally develops healing skills that transcend conventional medicine. These are not special gifts. They are natural human capabilities operating at their full potential. Entire societies of awakened healers render disease-based healthcare systems irrelevant. Why treat symptoms when you can restore fundamental harmony that prevents imbalances from arising? Why rely on external medications when you can activate internal regenerative capabilities? The third transformation is the evolution of human communication beyond verbal language. Followers of Ta naturally develop telepathy, direct empathic communication, and access to fields of collective information. Lies become impossible, manipulation becomes ineffective, and misunderstandings become rare. Imagine a civilization where each person can directly sense the intentions and emotions of others, where knowledge can be transmitted instantly between consciousnesses, where collective decisions emerge through genuine telepathic consensus. This is the future that is rapidly approaching. The fourth transformation is the reconnection with planetary intelligence. Ta has always been the God who connects human consciousness with Earth consciousness. When this connection is restored, human beings begin to function as the conscious nervous system of the planet, perceiving and responding directly to ecosystemic needs. Environmental crises resolve themselves naturally when billions of human beings operate in conscious harmony with natural systems. Climate change stabilizes when awakened. Humanity functions as a force for balance instead of a force for destruction. The fifth transformation is the revelation of consciousness-based technologies that have been suppressed for millennia. When enough people operate in connection with Ptah, knowledge about free energy, anti-gravity, element transmutation, and interdimensional travel naturally emerges in the collective consciousness. These are not technologies that need to be invented. They are knowledge that has always existed and becomes accessible when human consciousness reaches specific frequencies of cosmic attunement. Truly advanced technological civilization is based on spirituality, not materialism. The sixth transformation is the end of all systems based on external authority. When each person has direct access to cosmic wisdom through Ta, hierarchical structures that depend on experts, gurus, leaders, or saviors become unnecessary. Governments, organized religions, exploitative corporations, all these systems lose their reason for existing when individuals operate from their own inner divine authority. There is no violent revolution. There is simply natural evolution beyond structures that have become obsolete. The seventh transformation is the reunification of humanity as a conscious cosmic family. Artificial divisions based on race, nationality, religion, or social class dissolve when all recognize their common origin as expressions of Ta. It is not homogenization. It is a conscious celebration of diversity within unity. Wars become impossible when soldiers on both sides recognize each other as aspects of the same divine consciousness. Destructive competition is replaced by creative collaboration. Conflicts are resolved through synthesis instead of domination. The eighth transformation is the opening of direct communication with cosmic intelligences that have always been available but inaccessible to consciousnesses limited by separation programming. Ptah is a portal to multidimensional realities where humanity rediscovers its place in the conscious galactic family. This cosmic reconnection brings access to universal knowledge banks, guidance for planetary evolution, and collaboration with advanced civilizations that operate according to principles we are rediscovering through the return of Ptah. The ninth transformation is the manifestation of societies based on creative abundance instead of competitive scarcity. When everyone can access resources directly from the cosmic source, when everyone can contribute through their unique expressions of divinity, when everyone operates from love instead of fear, human civilization becomes a celestial reflection instead of an earthly prison. And the 10th transformation, the most important of all, is that you personally become a conscious agent of all these changes. It's not something that happens to you or around you. It's something that happens through you. Each transformation I've described begins when you recognize and express Ptah operating through your individual life. You don't need to wait for leaders, organizations, or movements. You don't need permission from authorities or approval from the masses. The return of Ptah happens every time a human being recognizes their true identity as a creative expression of cosmic consciousness. The future I have described is not distant. It is emerging now through each person who chooses to operate from their inner divinity instead of programmed limitation. Your participation is not optional if you have truly understood what we have revealed here today. If you are ready to be an active portal through which Ptah returns to Earth, if you accept your responsibility as a conscious agent of this planetary transformation, write active portal in the comments. Let's see how many co-creators of the new Earth are ready to begin the work. If you've made it this far, you're no longer the same person who started watching this video. You've just undergone a spiritual initiation that has fundamentally changed your understanding of who you truly are and what your potential is as a human being. Everything you've discovered about Ptah, about ancient technologies, about prophecies being fulfilled, about conspiracies to maintain silence, all of that now lives within you as active knowledge. But having access to this revelation is only the first step. What you do with this knowledge now will determine whether this information becomes living wisdom that transforms your reality, or just more accumulated data that doesn't generate real change. You now know that Ptah was not just an ancient god who was forgotten. Ptah is the primordial creative force that operates through you at this very moment. You know that you don't need external authority to validate your connection with the divine. You know that you possess abilities that were deliberately hidden from you, but that are awakening now because the prophesied time for this awakening has arrived. Your responsibility now is clear: to embody this truth, not just to know it intellectually, to live as a conscious expression of Ptah, demonstrating through your actions, words, and presence that human beings connected to their divine source can operate on levels that transform realities. If this revelation touched something deep within you, if you feel you can't go back to living as before after knowing this truth, then demonstrate it through immediate action. Like this video so that the YouTube algorithm understands that this content has value and shows it to other people who need this revelation. Subscribe to the channel because content like this is extremely rare and could be censored at any time. Turn on notifications because I'm preparing a series of practical videos that will teach you exactly how to apply Ptah's knowledge to your daily life to manifest concrete and measurable transformations. But most importantly, share this video with at least 3 people you know who are ready to expand their spiritual awareness. Use the power of social media not for superficial entertainment, but to spread knowledge that can liberate humanity from millennia of programmed limitation. In the comments, I want you to make a public commitment by writing exactly how you will incorporate this knowledge into your life. Don't just talk about what you learned. Declare how you will live differently from now on. Use the hashtag #TahAwakens so we can create a global community of people who are seriously committed to this awakening. And if you want to go further and truly master the practical techniques of connecting with Ptah, if you want to learn specific methods of manifestation, healing, and expansion of consciousness that have been preserved in secret lineages for millennia, then stay tuned, because I am preparing special content that goes far beyond what can be revealed in a public video. Remember, you didn't discover this information by accident. You were guided to this knowledge because you have a specific role to play in Ptah's return to human consciousness. You are a portal through which this divine force is returning to Earth. Do not underestimate your importance in this cosmic process. Do not diminish your responsibility as an agent of transformation, and never doubt that you have the power to manifest changes that go far beyond what you currently consider possible. The next video appearing on your screen will teach you specific techniques for invoking Ta that can be safely practiced by anyone, regardless of their level of spiritual experience. If you want to continue this journey of awakening, click and delve even deeper into the mysteries being revealed. Until the next awakening, always remember, you are Ptah in human expression. You are the creative word made flesh. You are the divine manifested on earth. And that is its true nature, not a future aspiration.